I talk about business way too much, and it's because I'm super passionate about it. So let's talk about something else that seems to be a hot topic for quite a few people. And I'm like, whatever. So we're going to talk about dating in Boise, Idaho, and what it's like from my perspective. Let's just talk about the damn thing then. The other day, I screenshotted my horoscope to one of my girlfriends because it's never rained so true. I'm a Gemini. I'm born June 9th, 69, so you'll never forget it. This is what it said. This is the first line it said about my love for the year of 2019. Gemini. Your love life is sometimes the stuff of soap operas. My dating stories are so bizarre, which is why I don't do it. I don't like to do it. It's terrible, especially in this town, because a lot of people get married really young. So I'm 28, I'm about to be 29, and the age demographic that I'm in is really hard because most of the people here get married at like 22, 23, and sometimes even younger. So being someone that has waited a little while to know oneself, to know what I like, to know what I'm gonna put up with, all that crap that people tell you should figure out at 28, it's difficult for someone like me. And I also like to work. I'm very busy, as you guys already know. I don't have to tell you that twice. So to actually find someone that puts in line in that kind of schedule that doesn't need all of that attention that I can't give is extremely hard. There aren't a lot of dating options, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know. But going back to my horoscope and talking about how my life is a soap opera, let's talk about my top 3 dating stories that are so bizarre, so crazy. So these stories I'm about to tell you are 100% real. They are not fabricated in any capacity. However, for the sake of everyone's privacy and confidentiality, these names have been altered. What should we call him? Mark?
Marky Mark?
Mark. I'm gonna call him Concert Corey. So one day, I was getting ready to go out. It was like a Saturday night. And my phone buzzed. I got a text message from a number I had never seen before. And this message says, hey. I said his name. Okay. It says, the text message says, hey Tazz, this is Concert Corey. I got your number from one of your former teammates. I am starting a co-ed softball team. I was wondering if you'd be interested in playing. I knew the girl he was referencing from when I played softball at Boise State. And I replied back like, oh yeah, that's totally cool. I'm glad she gave you my number. Unfortunately, I don't commit to playing softball because my schedule as a realtor is kind of crazy, but if you ever need a pickup player, I'm more than happy to help. I said, okay, cool. So a couple days has passed. He asked me if I could be on the team, and I said, no, I can't, I'm busy. And in a couple of weeks, we kind of were just like keeping contact. One day he asked me, he was like, hey, me and my friends are going to this concert. Like, we have an extra ticket. Would you like to go? And at this part of my life, anything that came my way, all opportunities, I just said, sure, I'm gonna full send. That was in part because I was going through a major depression from a previous breakup. That aside, I just decided I was gonna put myself out there. We decided a place to meet. We meet at the place, and he's there with all of his friends. And I like go up, hey, I'm Tazz, it's finally nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Small chat, chitter chatter. And we're talking, and suddenly, like an hour into our conversation, it's time to go into the concert. So we go to Taco Bell Arena, tickets get scanned, and then all of a sudden, the 2 buddies he came with said, all right, Concert Corey, we'll see you later. And they take off in the opposite direction. And I'm like, oh, like, are our seats at them? He was like, oh no, our tickets are this way. Okay, so we go in the complete opposite direction, find our seats and sit down. And I'm kind of looking around and I asked him, I was like, oh, are like any other friends joining us, or is it just gonna be you and me here? And he was like, no, it's just gonna be us. And I was like, thinking in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, I think this guy swindled me into a date right now. And so all of a sudden, like the concert starts, everyone's swaying. This is how the first 15 minutes started. So here is him, here am I, and we are standing probably a good like 5 feet apart. And all of a sudden, as the band keeps playing their next song, for some reason, he just keeps getting closer and closer until like finally he's like kind of standing on top of me, and I'm like, hi, like, excuse me, and I'm like trying to get on top of the person next to me, like, excuse me, and I'm like, I need to get out of here, like, I literally cannot. So song ends, I kind of get on my phone, and I text my roommate Zach, and I text him, I said, look, dude, I'm in a kind of a bind right now. I need you to call me as many times as you can. I'm not going to answer the first 2, but keep calling and show that my phone's ringing, because I got swindled into a date that I don't want to be in. And he's like, okay, I got you. So Zach calls, and so I made sure like I had my phone in hand, and my phone starts lighting up, and it says Zach Tazz's roommate on the top, and I just like ignore it. And then he calls again, and this time I try to make a point to like show Concert Corey, like, oh, I have an important call, and then I ignore it again. So like I let this thing happen for 4 times, and finally Concert Corey is just like, do you need to take that? And I was like, oh yeah, like I probably totally need to. And like I take it in the concert, and there's a lot of concert, and I'm like, hello, what happened to my dog? And I like bolt up the stairs, and I just freaking exited. Like I literally ghosted a man mid-surprise date. And you know, honestly, part of me doesn't feel bad because I didn't know what was happening, and that was really uncool. But on the other half, like, gosh, poor guy. Dating story number 2. I am not about the swipe life. 9 times out of 10, every time I've ever sat down with a guy, they usually look at me and they say, why are you using the apps? I'm like, I don't know, that's just my life. Last year, I decided to take a shot at online dating. I decided to go on a date with this guy that I had matched with. I'd seen him around a couple of times, but I had never met him. And for the sake of this story, let's call him Kissin' Carl. So I go on this date with Kissin' Carl, and we decided to go to one of my favorite spots, which is Jupiter. Juniper is one of my favorite spots. And he's like, all right, cool, I'll meet you there for happy hour. So I get there early, I sit down first, and I was really excited to meet this guy because online he was super cute, he looked tall, nice build, all the good stuff that you see with people's pictures. And I was like, oh, you know, like we were having a good text exchange. I'm really excited to meet this person. And this never happens to me. Sit down, I'm at Juniper early, kind of just waiting. I see him come in the door. He like comes straight to our table, pulls a chair, sits down, and says, hi, I'm Carl. And I was like, oh, well, hey, like, I'm Tazz, it's nice to meet you. And then the waitress comes and she asks, like, would you guys like some drink? And he's like, yeah. Okay, like, we're drinking. Like, I'll take a whatever, vodka soda or something. And he was like, I'll take a beer. Okay, that's fine, no problem. He's just very direct. And I come to find out that this guy is super smart. He's getting his PhD in like computer science, like super smart. But also with that, it was really tough for someone like me. I like to think I have a really loud personality. I can talk to paint drying and have a great conversation. But with this, it was so difficult. So I would ask him like, oh, where are you from? He's just like, Coeur d'Alene. Okay, like what kind of things do you like to do? I like to read. After we finished this beer, he started to like loosen up a little bit. He started to kind of actually ask a lot more questions. And I was like, okay, this is fine. And so the date wasn't going terrible, but it also wasn't great. He asked as we were leaving, he was like, do you want to probably grab some food at Red Feather? I was like, you know what? Maybe it was just nerves. I don't know what's happening. Like, totally fine. Like, yeah, let's go to Red Feather. We get seated up top. We sit down. Our waiter hands us the menus, and I'm looking at the menu. And all of a sudden, Carl gets up, And he goes, I need to use the bathroom. And I said, okay, no problem. He comes around the table, literally grabs my face and inserts his tongue into my mouth. And I'm like so shocked that I kind of just like take this kiss, and he like walked to the bathroom. And I'm sitting here like, oh my God, it's been 20 minutes since I've known this guy, and he already went in with tongue. Oh, so needless to say, what I should have done was done what I actually did to Concert Corey, which was bail. I did not contact him after that because it was so weird. Story number 1 is with someone I'm going to call Finger Freddy.
What?
Again, last year was a rough time in my life, and I decided to go on dates using the swipe life. I matched with this guy who was super charming, actually, in like text messages. Kind of cute, like no problem. We kind of had some good banter, and I was like, all right, great, this is great. And so we decided to meet at the Modern, and I had never been there before. I heard they always had good drinks, good food. He was like, let's go to the Modern. I was like, okay, cool, I'll meet you there. As my Uber is pulling up, I'm like texting like, hey, I'm on my way. And he was like, okay, cool, like I'm sitting by the door. All right, so I walk in, I make my way towards him, and I'm like, hey, I'm Tazz. Finger Fred looks up, and he's like, oh, hi. I'm like, hi, it's nice to meet you. And I sit down, he's like, well, you came in hot, didn't you? I was like, well, it's cold outside, and I'm really excited to meet you. So I asked him, like, hey, how was your day? He was like, oh, you know, it was a good day. Like, I spent $200,000, but don't worry, I didn't spend it all. I was like, okay, like, was this for your job? Like, was this just for yourself? And he was like, oh no, it's for the job. I'm working for the senator on his campaign, and blah, blah, blah. He starts going off, and at this point, I'm like almost checked out already. And I'm just kind of like nodding blankly, like, oh yeah, like you work for the senator, cool, like this is great. He's like, yeah, you know, but I'm not gonna be here very long. Like I have to go back to California, all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, like noted. Why am I on a date with you? I'm trying to find true love, and you are here for like what appears to be a one-night stand, my friend. Like, I'm not that kind of girl. And so we order a couple of drinks, order a couple of appetizers, and just start talking. Like, the conversation was all right. It wasn't my favorite, but it was progressing. It wasn't like I was talking to kissing Carl. Waiter brings our drinks out. Waiter brings our appetizers out. And he brings 2 plates and 2 forks. So obviously, having never met this person, I'm hungry. Order was mushrooms and the other one was Brussels sprouts. So I decided to put some Brussels sprouts on my plate as well as some mushrooms. And he does the same. So we're talking, we're chatting, like my plate's getting empty, his plate's getting empty. And all of a sudden I refill my plate. As we're talking, he's like using his hands, I'm using my hands. And then all of a sudden he takes his hands and grabs the Brussels sprouts straight from the appetizer plate and puts it in his mouth. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm like eating again, and he does it again. He's like having this casual conversation, this casual first date. All of a sudden takes the mushrooms and like grabs it and put it in his mouth. And I'm like, what in the world? Don't get me wrong. I'm Asian. I'm Filipino. I'm used to eating with my hands. However, we are in a public place. This is my first date. Like, I don't move that fast, bro. All of a sudden, like, I just stop eating. He finishes the entire appetizers, licks his fingers, wipes it off of his pants, and, like, tries to hold my hand. As this date is progressing, I like to think I'm funny. I can tell jokes and make men laugh. Like, wow, I'm a catch. But, as I'm like telling jokes and trying to be funny and like lightening up the conversation, instead of just kind of like laughing casually of just like, haha, that's so funny, he would do this with his face when he laughed. It would be like, and I was like looking at him like, oh. So I ended up spending 2 hours with this guy, only to then like grab my Uber. And as I'm grabbing my Uber, like the Uber driver's pulling up, he's like, oh, my Uber driver's here. Like, I've had a really nice night. We like go in for a hug, And as I'm going in to hug, he starts pulling a kissing Carl, and like the mouth is coming. And having learned my lesson from the week before, I decided to look down and say, oh, I gotta tie my shoe. I tie my shoe, jump in the Uber, and he's like, yeah, I can't wait to hang out with you. And I tell him, I was like, look, sorry, dude, like, I'm just not that interested. Like, I didn't feel the chemistry, all of that stuff. But really, I was not attracted to him using his fingers to share appetizers. And his weird laugh just wasn't cool. So if you liked this week's episode, make sure to like and subscribe to my page because new episodes are released every Thursday. So I'm just Tazz, and that's just my dating life.